Hi, I'm Gary the Water Guy, and I own the water filter eStore and the Water Store in Midland, Ontario. Today we're talking about how to install the Goldline 50 reverse osmosis drinking water system in your home. Great system, made in USA, 3/8 inch tubing, great flow. You'll really like it. So let's talk first about the location, where you're going to install it. So the output of the system is going to be a faucet normally located at the kitchen sink, so it's convenient to get water. If you have a fridge with a water dispenser in it, a 3/8 inch tube runs up to here, a T can be put in that line, and that can also feed your fridge. So the unit often is installed underneath the kitchen sink because that's what's closest to the faucet. It doesn't have to be installed there. In fact, in my house, I have it located in the basement, and then I just have 3/8 inch tubing running up to the faucet. Now, if your basement underneath where your kitchen is has a finished drywall ceiling, you wouldn't have access, of course, so you wouldn't be able to do that. The other thing is there's a tank involved with the reverse osmosis system. Again, it doesn't have to be located immediately beside the unit that's under the sink. So if you have a dead corner in your kitchen counters, somewhere where it's difficult to get access to, it might be a good place to put the tank and the manifold. So kind of look around and decide what's the best location for you. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is we have to get a supply of water to the reverse osmosis system. And there's a couple fittings that come in the kit for that. So how these work is you disconnect. First of all, you'd shut off the water going to the kitchen cold. If you can't shut off the water to just the kitchen cold, you may have to shut off the water in the whole house. So that's the first step. The second step is you disconnect where the plumbing goes to the cold faucet, and in between the connection to the cold faucet and the supply from the house is where this T gets located, and this is the adapter that supplies the water to the reverse osmosis system. So you would install that first. Once you've installed that, then we need to put in the drain saddle. So this is the drain saddle here, and it goes on the plumbing underneath your kitchen sink. You just need to make sure that you install this saddle above where the S is in the plumbing. So once you've located a good location, and a vertical spot is always best, better than a horizontal location. So then you decide where you want to install it, drill a hole, 1/4 inch hole, and then there's a pad that goes on around the hole to make the seal, and then you attach the two halves of the saddle together, tighten them up, and that's your saddle location. So once you've finished that, then we should talk about the faucet. So the faucet will be obviously located at the kitchen sink. Normally it's on the right-hand side, but it can be on the left-hand side depending on how you configure it. I always like to locate it in such a location where you could put a pot or a coffee carafe in the kitchen sink, open up the faucet and have the water flow into it without having to hold it underneath the faucet. So kind of look around and decide where you want to do that. So it's a 5/8 inch hole that gets drilled for the faucet, and you may need to enlarge it a little bit for the air gap section of the faucet. So once you've drilled the hole and you've located the faucet, there's a fittings kit here for locating the faucet in the sink area, and once you've put that together, then you need to put the connection on, the John Guest connection for the tubing going to the reverse osmosis system. So you would need Teflon tape that you would wrap three or four times around here. You'd wrap it, I always hold it with my left hand, with my thumb, hold the Teflon tape and then wrap it around, and then thread on the fitting. So now you've got the faucet set up, you've got the drain saddle set up, you've got your supply set up. So that's great. So now if we look at the reverse osmosis system, turn it around this way because I'm right-handed. But if you look here, this is where the membrane goes, this large housing here, and this is the membrane here. So what you would do is you would unscrew the end, like that, and then with the membrane, make sure you wash your hands first before you handle the membrane. You could use some plumber's clear silicone grease. I always prefer to use plumber's clear silicone grease. Grease the O-rings on this end of the membrane and grease the large seal at this end of the membrane. So this end goes in first, so you'd slide that in, and then push it all the way down till it seats 100%. You'll feel a bit of resistance and then keep going and you'll feel it seat. Also use a little bit of this plumber's clear silicone grease on the O-ring on the end of the membrane housing. So once you've put that together, then you would screw the cap back onto the membrane housing. And you just make it hand tight, but really hand tight. And there's a fitting on the end here, a John Guest fitting, and you'll see this white loose, this tubing which is loose here. So what you will do is you'll push that into the John Guest fitting here and slide it in. Now I've got a great video on my YouTube channel on how to use quick connect fittings, and that's how this whole unit is connected. So it would be a great idea for you to go and watch that video before you go any further. Okay, so once you've done that, so now what you can do is you can locate the whole unit underneath the kitchen sink, or like I say, if you're putting it in the basement. Before I do that, although the unit comes assembled, I always check just to make sure that the filter housings are snug. So this wrench comes with the reverse osmosis system and you can snug it up that way. Okay, so to make the connections, they're actually very straightforward. I should actually talk about the tank next. So the tank has a shutoff valve like this that gets mounted on it, and it comes with the installation kit for the Goldline 50. So again, you'd put Teflon tape at the top of the fitting here, 1/4 inch male fitting. So again, you'd wrap the Teflon tape in the clockwise direction, and then you'd screw on the fitting. And again, you screw it hand tight. It needs to be quite tight so it doesn't leak, but don't reef on it with a wrench because you will break it off, okay? So when it's in this position, it's open, and when it's in this position, it's closed, okay? So we're gonna be filling the tank, so it's gonna be open. All right, so the next thing we need to do is connect this all up. So deciding on where you're gonna put this system, let's say you're putting it in the basement, then what you would do is you would run the supply line first. So from your connection underneath the kitchen sink, you would go to this end here where it says feed. And they have a little bit of a stopper in here just to make sure that no debris gets in there while it's being shipped. So you can pull that out. Just pull the collar up and you can yank that out. So that would be the supply. So the next would be the drain connection. So this red line here coming off this drain line flow control, this white piece. So again, you push the collar in and slide out the tubing, and again you can connect your drain line here. So the drain line on these systems, they are suggesting the orange line here. So you would connect that, and the other end of the drain line will go to the air gap at the faucet. Now, it may be difficult to get the tubing onto the barbed fitting here, so what I suggest you do is heat this up with a blow dryer so it becomes more pliable, and then you can slide it all the way on. All right, so the next is that we can connect the line that goes to the faucet. So again, at this end of the system, you'll see the word faucet, and there's some blue tubing here, so you'll pull out this blue tubing, this stopper, and connect the blue tubing that comes with the system from here to the faucet, and that goes to the center connection of the faucet. We've threaded this onto here, so you connect it here, and then this white connection on the other end with this T from the filter. Again, it says the word on the back here. It says the word tank. I don't know if you can see it or not. Tank. So here, this would connect to the tank. And what do we have left? And then the last one is the connection from the other side of the drain here to the other side of the air gap to the drain. So we've did the connection from here to the air gap, and then from the other side of the air gap to the drain. Once you've connected it all up, then what you want to do is turn the water on. So again, with this fitting here, you would open up the valve here, and that would allow water to flow into the reverse osmosis system. So the first thing you'll do is you'll open it till you hear water running, and then you'll check for leaks. Make sure all the fittings are in good shape, etc. So once you hear water running to drain, because as the reverse osmosis system makes water, the good water gets stored in the tank, the bad water goes to the drain. So you hear water flushing through the system. So once you hear that water running, then you know water is being made for the tank. So you let the tank fill, which will take about 2 hours, something like that. And once it's full, then you'd open up the faucet and flush some of the water out. Now you'll see some black water coming out, and that's the carbon fines that are being flushed from the filters. That's normal. So let that water run until the tank is empty. And you'll know it's empty because it'll slow down to a little trickle. Turn the faucet off and let it fill again. For 2 hours, go through the process again. So you want to flush the filters 3 times. The membrane has a preservative in it, which doesn't taste very good, but you want to make sure you flush that out, and you also want to flush the filters. Once you flush the whole system, then you're good to go. And that's it. If you like what you saw today, please click the subscribe button. That way you'll be notified about all the new videos as they become available on our channel. If you need more info, you can go to our websites at thewaterfilter, eStore.com, or thewaterstoremidland.com. And again, I'm Gary the Water Guy from the Water Store in Midland, Ontario. Thanks for watching.